What you guys, got another video here for you, the only VirtualBox guide you will need in 2026. I see quite a few comments asking about VirtualBox, how to set it up and how to install operating systems on it to test them, maybe Linux or maybe Windows, whatever you want to use. I'll show you how to do it in this video. Now, first thing you need to do is make sure you do have virtualization enabled on your motherboard. You can do this inside the BIOS and you can check inside Task Manager right here, virtualization, and you can see mine is already enabled. If this is not enabled, you will not be able to use virtualization software. You will need to go into the BIOS and enable this feature. I'll quickly show you an image what it looks like inside the BIOS. So when you first start up your PC, you need to tap on F2 or the delete key, and this will get you into the BIOS, and you need to enable the virtualization technology feature inside your BIOS. Once you've done that, you can then boot up your PC and head over to the VirtualBox website. That's at virtualbox.org. What is a virtual machine? A virtual machine is a software-based computer that emulates a physical hardware system. It has its own virtual CPU, memory, and network and storage, allowing you to run a completely separate operating system and applications inside an isolated file, functioning just like a physical computer. So download the actual software that you want for the operating system. In this case, I'm on a Windows-based system, so I'm going to download the Windows hosts download file. If you're on Mac OS or Linux or Solaris, you can download that version right there. We can use the VirtualBox extension pack as well if we want to. I can cover that in other videos. If you want to see more videos on virtual machines or VirtualBox or even VMware Player or anything else, let me know in the comments section down below. So now that's downloaded, what we're going to do is we're going to need to get this installed on the PC, and then we need to download some ISOs that we're going to use for the operating system. So first, let's get this installed. I'm going to go to the downloads folder right here, and I've got both the extension pack and also the executable file for VirtualBox right here. I'm going to double click on the executable file and get this installed. Just accept their terms and conditions and just run through and click next pretty much all the way through. Say yes here. It's going to warn you you're going to disconnect from the internet temporarily. And if it's got missing dependencies, you can say yes here. And you can basically leave these all check marked, click next, and it's going to say ready to install, click install, and that will install the VirtualBox software onto your PC. Now, once that's done, you're going to need to make sure you download some ISO files. These can be Linux Mint, Zorin OS, or any of the other ones, and I'll show you that right now. So this is the actual software opened right here. So to install an operating system on here, we will need to get some ISO files. So let's head over to the website, and we can choose from Linux Mint here or Zorin OS and many other types of Linux distros. There's tons to choose from. We've also got Windows. If you want to install Windows on here as well, you can do. And what we're going to do is we're going to go for, say, Zorin OS for this video. But again, you could choose whatever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and come all the way down, and you'll see that Zorin OS Pro is available there at a fee. We're going to go for the free version here, Zorin OS 18.1 Core, and we're going to go ahead and download that version. You can see it's free to download and free to use, like a lot of Linux distros are. So let's go ahead and click download. So let's head over to our VirtualBox software, and there's a bunch of buttons here. We can cover this in another video. I'm just going to show you how to get up and running with an operating system right here. So from here, you're going to see you've got some navigation buttons: new, open, preferences, import and export. In the preferences here, you can set up all your preferences to your needs, how you like to set it up. There's different languages here. If you use a different language to English, you can change it. And you've got font scaling, display, and all that sort of stuff. And there's some expert settings in here. We're just going to quickly gloss over those and go straight for the new button right here. And this was going to allow us to create a new virtual machine. So we're going to give the virtual machine a name. So let's go ahead and call this, say, Linux Mint or Zorin OS or whatever it is you want to call it. So you just have to give it a name. Now, Linux Mint and Zorin OS both use Ubuntu. So what we're going to do is now navigate to our virtual machine folder. You can see it's set up in my user account, and also it's created a VirtualBox space VMs. That's where they're going to all be located. we can select ISO image other, and now we can navigate to our downloads folder. So we're going to be putting Zone OS. I should have probably put Zone OS inside the title bar there, but it doesn't matter because they both use Ubuntu. It's just the name of the actual VM, what we've called it. So you can change that at any time. So here we can see we've got Linux and we've got Ubuntu OS distribution because it's based on that. And there's some other ones inside here as well. And you've got operating system version Ubuntu 64, and you've got other options available in here if you're using different versions. Let's go into specify virtual machine hardware. So just use the drop down arrow right here, and you can see the base memory right here. I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM in this system. So anything up to about 16 gig will be fine, but you don't need to go that crazy with your memory. So I'm just going to probably give it about 8,000 odd or 8 gig of memory, and that will be perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be exact. You could just drag the slider along, or you can type it in, whatever suits you. The number of CPUs, again, you don't want to oversaturate this and really sort of strain your PC. So just give it 3 or 4 CPU cores, and that should be fine. You can see right here, we've got 16 on this system, but 4 should be plenty. Obviously, if you've got less, you want to use less. You've got use EFI, and you can also go in here and specify virtual hard disk. So right inside here, you can give the virtual hard disk the amount of space that you want to give it. So for instance, let's go ahead and give this a bit more. Let's give it 25 gigabytes. Let's say you want to give it, say, 100 gigabytes. Now we can go ahead and either use the slider to slide it up and down. It's quite difficult to get it accurate, or you can just type in the numbers in the box itself if you want to. This way it's a lot easier. So let's just go ahead and type in here, and we can say 100. Now, if you do a couple of extra dots, it's going to obviously use all of your space on your drive. You don't want to do that. So 100 is perfectly fine if you're using it for many different things. So from here, we can also change the hard disk file type if we want to, VDI, VHD, VMDHK, whatever it is you want to set yours at. I'm going to leave it as VDI, VirtualBox disk image, and we're going to leave that as is. And we can also pre-allocate a full size if you want to. And there's also, you can see, split disks into 2 gigabyte parts as well. That's grayed out, but that's if you set it up that way. We're just going to uncheck that and leave it as is. Now, once we've done this, we can also use an existing virtual hard disk. So if you have one of those, you can use it right here and browse to it, and it will boot straight up into that disk. Let's take a look inside the actual settings. So we can go settings here, and this will give you the settings of the actual operating system. So you can change the general system, display, storage, audio, network, and so on. You can come into the settings panel of your virtual machine at any time and make changes to your liking. I can rename that to Zorin OS after the fact if I want to. It's not going to hurt it. It's just the name. But we're going to be booting up here to Zorin OS by clicking on the start, and you can now see it's starting up our virtual machine. So let's go ahead and click on try and install. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and it should get to this window right here. And once it's populated this screen, it's going to tell us we can either try Zorin OS or install Zorin OS. Well, we want to install it because we want to run this as an operating system inside a virtual box or inside a virtual machine, so we can use it while we're on Windows. So if you're on a Windows 10 or Windows 11 system, you can still try out some Linux distros and see which ones you like before you commit to installing them on your main system, if you want to do that, that is. So next, you can go ahead and check mark some of this stuff right here, and we can now click on continue. It's going to basically ask you the same questions it will do for pretty much every operating system. It's going to ask you to create a user account, password, and then it's going to go through the installation process. It just acts exactly the same as it would on a real PC as it does on a virtual machine. So you can see right here, we're going to erase the disk and install Zorin OS. Click install, choose your country where you're located. I'm going to click continue here, and now we can go ahead and put in all our details that we want to use for the system. So let's go ahead and do this right here. need to give it a password here. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll quickly type that out. It says weak password. That's because I'm using a virtual machine here. I can make it a bit stronger here by just adding a few more digits on the end. There we go. And now we can click on continue. And this will go ahead and start installing the operating system of your choice, in this case Zorin OS, onto our VirtualBox software. So now we can click restart, and it will now restart the operating system just as you would do if you was installing this onto a real system. So you'll see something looking like this, and we can press enter and remove the media. Because we're using an ISO file, it don't matter, it's going to boot straight up anyway. So now we'll just let the operating system boot up for the very first time, and you can see VirtualBox right here, and it's going to load right up. And once we've done this, we should get to our sign-in screen where we can sign in for the very first time. There we go. Click on this and put in the password that you used in the setup phase, and it should now log into the desktop. And that's it. You've now got your working operating system right here. And this is how you can create tutorials and how you can use this to test to see whether you like Linux or not. I'm just going to quickly change the resolution here to 1920 by 1080 for the recording software so we can go full screen. Let me go ahead and do that. Click apply, keep changes, and there we go. So now we can close this off, and you've just installed Zorin OS onto VirtualBox, and these are the very basic settings that you'd need to get up and running with VirtualBox. If you want to see more in-depth settings or more settings that you can use to set up VirtualBox even more, then let me know in the comments section down below. If this video does okay, I'll make some more videos on it. If it doesn't, then it will just probably end with this video right here. But you can see it's doing okay. We've now got Zorin OS working inside Windows 10, and it will work inside Windows 11 as well. And also Windows 10 or Windows 11 will work inside Linux as well if you're using VirtualBox inside that environment. So it works both ways. And this is a great way to test software and test operating systems to learn and also find out whether you like them or not before you commit to them and installing them on your system. Now, some Linux users do still need to use Windows 10, and what they do is they will use a VirtualBox sometimes to boot into Windows 10 when they want to use certain software and things like that. And some people dual boot, and some people will have separate computers with Windows and Linux on them. So that's pretty much it. That's basically how you can get up and running and set up VirtualBox and install an operating system like Zorin OS on VirtualBox while on a Windows 10 system. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Quick shout out to all my YouTube members. I really do appreciate the support, and I shall catch you in the very next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.